so much for joining us this afternoon or morning where you are. We're delighted to have the second town hall meeting of Select Counsel, and we want to start by saying, thank you for your patience, and we hope that we have some exciting news to share about some functional improvements and some increased services that we will offer. But I want to start by saying we understand that you are subscribers, and we are a business, and our aim is to provide you with increased service, all designed for lawyers of a certain caliber, to build your practice, build your productivity, and build your profitability. That's our aim, and we intend to do that by a multi-tiered approach, and it's complicated, but it's worth it, we think, and it dovetails with some changes in technology and some practice norms that are important. So I just wanted to let you know that we know that you are our clients, and that we thank you for your business. So today what we're going to do is talk about we've been a little bit quiet for the last 4 or 5 months, and we've been hard at work, kind of like mice scurrying behind the, in the interstices and the underpinnings of our website, and actually scouring the 4 corners for research and to understand the trends that we see developing in the practice of law, so that we can bring them back and make those trends something and the efficiencies that are available ultimately to our members, and through this portal, this website. So that has been what we are doing. And today what we're going to do is to take you sort of quickly through some of the back end functional changes that we have made, and then talk in a little while about some other changes that we're going to make. But the first part of the agenda about the functional changes belongs to Chris.
Okay, well, and Julie didn't introduce herself, but she's the CEO of Select Counsel, and she has a lot of executive experience, both as a business executive and as an in-house lawyer, as well as working at some of the top law firms in the country. I'm Chris Colvin. I'm the COO of Select Counsel, and also, as my background indicates on the green screen, I'm also the founder and CEO of In the House, which is a community for innovative in-house counsel. And so I'll mention In the House a little bit later, but that's why you see that on the background behind me. So today I'd like to sort of take you through sort of what I'm going to be discussing. Will have 2 parts. I first of all want to frame everything by talking about sort of the phases of the business development that Julie and I and some others have been working on for the past few months. And then I'll take you through the new back end of the Select Counsel website, which is designed to help further really all 3 of those phases. To echo what Julie said, all the work we're doing really has one unified goal, and that's to improve the business success for all members of Select Counsel. So everything we're doing is an attempt to drive that one unified goal for all of our members. We analyzed sort of the past and the present and the future of Select Counsel, and we really see 3 key phases. So our comments will really reflect each of those phases. And I use that term phase. It's not strictly time-wise. They are starting in a time-wise fashion, but each of those phases will actually be ongoing throughout the history of our business. So as I don't mean that one phase will be over and that another will replace it, but that they will all be ongoing. So let me just quickly highlight those so you understand how we're framing our discussion of our business and our plans going forward. So the first phase is really assembling world-class membership of deeply experienced lawyers. So what we want, and Andrew really was the key to setting this vision, and we really applaud Andrew for his great vision. The idea was and is to bring together attorneys that can go toe-to-toe with any lawyers anywhere at the quote-unquote top firms in the country and indeed the world. And so, as Andrew built the business initially, he, as you know, very carefully vetted the people who he invited to join this select community. So the word, the name is very apt. It's both selective in terms of who is permitted to join, and it's also important that the council part of the name is important too, because we do all want to be the trusted advisors to our clients, some of the top advisors to all of our businesses that we represent. So that's phase one, is assembling a world-class membership. Phase
Chris,
two,
we
yep,
just take one
absolutely.
second to answer some members'
Yes,
concerns about how we're going to do that?
yes,
Because we want to make sure that you understand that we are, our aim is to serve our clients, you are our clients, and that means not cannibalize your business, but help grow it. So some of the research
right,
that we've been doing on another level shows the growth in by geography and subject or substantive area of certain practice types. And we
right,
are going to undertake a concerted effort. And I've talked to some of the new steering committee members about this, a concerted effort to grow our network and our membership, but in a way that reflects the way that lawyers and practice areas are needed and geographies are represented in that need. So
right.
just
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, it's, I think that as we continue on this phase of our growth, we're really looking at a couple of goals. One is to, as Julie mentions, optimize the mix of practice niches and geography, so that we sort of optimize the mix from a referral standpoint, so that you're not cannibalizing each other's business. You know, we don't want 50 trademark lawyers in New York, for instance. We want to make sure that we have an optimal mix, just like a law firm would have an optimal mix of lawyers in each of their locations. We want to have an optimal mix for our clients in the aggregate and for ourselves. And we also want to grow the community, but it's, growth is not, our growth in membership is not our sole objective. In fact, we would like to grow to the appropriate size and have that be manageable. Initially, we'd like to grow to 1,000 members by early to mid 2021. So that's sort of our time frame. So we want structured and organized growth for the community. Phase two, which we're just getting into, is to build our internal infrastructure to strengthen the ties within our community. So from one member to another member throughout our organization. And as I get later to the back end of the website, that is really the online manifestation of this phase. And we want to make sure that we're not only giving plenty of opportunities for you all to connect both online and offline in the real world, but also begin layering in additional services. So we'd like to leverage the economies of scale and the bargaining power that having a larger network brings, so that we can start to deliver additional services, both that we build ourselves and from select outside vendors, so that you can strengthen all of your legal practices. And just to give a couple examples of
right, let's
that,
do that.
I think social media marketing, for example, has been a challenge for a lot of smaller law firms, especially and marketing in general. So we're evaluating various partners that we could bring in to provide those types of services in the aggregate. Even something as basic as having a really up-to-date website with compelling content, as you all know, that can be very challenging. So we're also talking to a variety of providers who can help spruce up your websites and create something more interactive and more modern. And even large law firms really have challenges when it comes to having leading edge websites. So we think there's an opportunity here for us to actually outdo some of the large firms in some ways. And then there's also more traditional services such as insurance, collectivizing an insurance offering that our members might be interested in. So over time, as we build that internal infrastructure, we'd like to get closer and closer to our goal, which is to have the same cohesiveness and strength that larger law firms bring to the table. So we really want to create a true interactive community so that you all really know and trust each other. I think phase one was great because it said, hey, we're all very good at what we do. We can trust that a referral from one of our clients to another Select Counsel member will be taken care of very well, but you really can't replace a really powerful one-on-one relationship with your referral partners. And we'll be looking at initiatives such as a right of first refusal, which we would like to begin to socialize within the community so that you present Select Counsel members with, for example, a 24-hour period of exclusivity. So here's the opportunity, and our members have 24 hours to take advantage of that referral opportunity before
I
we
just have
our larger networks.
I was just
Yes, of
I was just
course.
hoping I could add a couple of things
Absolutely.
to the service offerings. I want to talk about some, practice, not just management, but research tools and software that we are, currently not just exploring, but in conversations with about, having making available volume discounts or to our members. That's going to be rolled out over time. I think most of you probably know that the advent of software and legal technology is the advent of advancement in this vertical is it's fast moving. It's very fast paced. And so it's been an interesting task to take a look at what exists and get to know some people in the industry, actually in Dag's area down in Southern California and in Canada. Those seem to be the leading areas for development. So we're talking to those people, and we are negotiating potential offerings. So that's the first thing. The second thing, which is brought to my attention by a member who always makes me think just recently, is that none of these initiatives are designed to take the place of face-to-face and interpersonal relationships. We believe, as many of you do, that the best relationships take time to develop, not just with clients, but with each other. And there's nothing that substitutes for face-to-face. And I understand that there were some sort of grassroots efforts to have brown bag lunches and the rest, and regional pockets. We didn't mean to stop you. I think we might have inadvertently, sort of sent the message, slow down, we're going to roll out some stuff. But that stuff should continue. We're always going to be a work in progress. So that's the second thing that I wanted to add. And Chris, I think that's it for the moment.
Yep. And and I agree with everything that Julie said. And as I'll show you in a minute, a lot of the features of the new backend are designed to empower you to create your own events in addition to the events that we're rolling out at the corporate level. So we want to make sure that we're doing both, that we're actually rolling out programs that you all can take advantage of, but at the same time, giving you tools that you can use to build up your own independent initiatives, to meet with each other, to help each other, and to lead to better success for all of us. So just let me briefly outline what we see as phase 3. So again, phase 1 was assembling the community. Phase 2 was building internal infrastructure. Phase 3, which we're also near the beginning of at this stage, is to build the power and influence of Select Counsel as a brand among the purchasers of legal services. As I think most founders of smaller law firms recognize, it is always challenging to face these sort of deep-pocketed incumbents, these am law firms and similar firms in various geographies that sort of have the brand recognition, and we have to acknowledge that there's power in that and that there's comfort in that to the purchasers of legal services. They're used to it. These big names are well known. They are populated with highly talented lawyers. We sort of need to give credit where credit's due. So the question becomes, how do we build Select Counsel into a brand that is recognized like that? So our goal there is really for Select Counsel to have the same level, convey the same level of confidence and security as the nameplates of AmLaw 100 firms. And that is certainly a challenge, but there are many things we can do to make that progress. So we're developing, a marketing budget so we can spend at the corporate level to start putting the brand out there, getting clients used to the brand and comfortable with the brand. A model that I think all of us are aware of and might help you to visualize this better is think about the power of a brand like Remax in the brokerage, in the real estate brokerage industry. If you go into any town, there will be a Remax broker, right? And that's a global brand, but it's formed by independent providers. And it gives a lot of, I think most of us feel more comfortable walking into Remax than walking into Joe or Jill's, real estate brokerage. So that's the kind of brand recognition that we'd like to develop within the legal services industry. And even beyond that, we'd like to start co-branding between Select Counsel and the members of Select Counsel so that we can start to have our brands enhance each other. And so we're going to be rolling out a variety of thought leadership initiatives so that we can put both our global brand and your individual brands out there together to reinforce each other.
So let me just give some concrete
Of course.
expression to that. We're forming a steering committee, and thank you to everybody who signed up so far. I'm sorry it's taking longer than I thought. I have a line on some Asian members, and Asia region members, and I'm really trying to bring into the mix. But I'm going to give it another week, and that's but this is a group of brethren who have signed up to help do just that, build their practices and build the brand. And what we envision and we're putting together is a budget. So for example, if we have a member who's a practice area specialist who practices, say, in Northern California, and there's a conference in Milan on that practice area, that's relevant, obviously, because the person in Northern California, in my hypothetical, has some startup clients and they're building their business out into Western Europe. And what we'd like to be able to do is to sponsor that member's trip out to that conference or seminar. And in that way, it builds that steering committee members' business and our brand, and brings back the kinds of growth that we want in the target area by region and by subject matter. So that's our plan going forward. That will not happen until August of 2020, but we're preparing the budget for that year, and the steering committee is just getting assembled. But that's a concrete example of that co-branding and co-building that we're talking about.
Absolutely. And one near-term initiative that we're working on is to begin to bring the community that we've been building for several years at In the House and bring the community of Select Counsel together in a selective way. So start to do joint initiatives between the two groups. And we've been, I literally have been talking daily to in-house counsel for several years now, and I have a good feeling for what in-house counsel want from both small and large law firms. And there's a couple of bits of intelligence I'd love to share with all of you right now. One thing that in-house counsel are asking for is they really want tech-savvy lawyers. They want, even at the GC level, people are really, in the in-house community, they're very aggressive in adopting technology. And at In the House, they're very comfortable, like, for example, because we're on one, they're very comfortable with video conferencing. They use it regularly to replace meetings. Their travel budgets are been slashed in the last 10 years, even at very large companies. They often are, I happen to be married to a senior in-house lawyer, and she doesn't get to travel very much as she would like, even though she's pretty high up in a very large company. So, that's the reality of the in-house lawyer experience, is they're doing more with less, and they want their law firms to do that too. So I see that, and Julie, I think, shares my view. I see a hidden competitive advantage to us. Most of us are at smaller law firms. We have an advantage if we aggressively adopt technology platforms and use those platforms to deliver education and services to in-house counsel. So that's number one, is technology. Number two is business model. Even though most in-house counsel are fairly, let's say they're reticent to share complaints about outside law firms, they don't do it very much with their firms. They do it a lot with me because I happen to run a community for in-house counsel. So I hear what keeps them up at night, and they're really begging for new ways of thinking around the business model of law firms. It's not just, and I think we have this tendency to just beat up the billable hour. It's not about that exclusively. It's really about taking the in-house perspective in everything you do. How is my client benefiting from this work that I'm doing? And how am I showing my willingness to be flexible in my business model to align along customer success rather than to line along, maximizing revenue for the firm. And so in-house lawyers are really looking for new ideas. And it's my hope and Julie's hope that Select Counsel can be truly a laboratory for those ideas, and that we can share those and get ideas from in-house lawyers about how can we help better serve your community. And in-house lawyers are actually itching to have those conversations. Sure, they'd love to have a steak dinner and a night out on the town at a ball game or something. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with any of those traditional marketing methods. But they also want to engage constructively in real discussions about the future of our profession and how people are innovating, how law firms are innovating. So that's another really important point. Another opportunity I hope we can explore within the house is, quite frankly, they're often looking for free advice before they're paying for advice. And I think if we play our cards right as a community, we can start to be a resource for the members of In the House and even in-house lawyers outside of that community to come and get informal advice. Of course, we're lawyers. We have to be careful and frame everything as this is not legal advice if it's not if it's not a client who's retained you. But there should be plenty of opportunities to share our expertise and knowledge with members of In the House.
And that, of course, builds those relationships that we were talking
exactly
about. And we've got some concrete invitations during the body of this call, too, to give you some,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And let me get to that very shortly. I want to share one last concept from my learning from In the House, and that is that in-house counsel are also tired of the traditional sales pitch, the PowerPoint presentation that has the faces of the lawyers on it and their long lists of accomplishments. They can look at your website, they can look at LinkedIn. That's not really what they want. What they want is to see sort of on the job how you behave. How are you going to represent them should they be your client someday? And they want to see you reflecting the application of your experience to the practical problems that they deal with every day. They're less interested in theory. They're less interested in pure biography because they can look at that on their own time. So we believe that by having substantive conversations with in-house lawyers in advance of representing them, that can lay a good foundation to really have credibility going forward. So let me share, I wanted to share today, are there any questions now? I don't see a lot of questions on the chat window. I could briefly, unmute everyone and we could see if anybody has any questions. So just a second, and then we'll go to the screen share.
Sure.
So if anybody has any questions, we can cover those now, or we can move on to show you the back end of the site. A lot of background noise. Okay. No questions. I'm going to mute again. There we go. All right, Julie, you're unmuted, and others can join in by the chat window. So let me just share my screen here. And I want to emphasize that this is really the beginning of the process of rolling out this new backend for Select Counsel. The idea will be, once we switch over the current website to this new backend, you'll still have the front end of the Select Counsel website, which will feature background information on Select Counsel and your public bios that clients will see or potential clients will see. But then there will be a link to this backend portal. As you see here, we've put a few members of the steering committee on the site. And but this will work, and it does work already, just like a traditional social media sites such as Facebook. So there's opportunities to friend your colleagues. You can use online messaging. You can use online chat. You can create your own events within the community. So for example, the brown bag lunches that Julie referred to, you can create those right on the site and we can promote those to the full community. We can also promote as appropriate to members of in the house. We have many thousands of members we can promote to. So if it's an event that caters to in-house counsel, we can use that channel to promote those events. So this will be sort of the online embodiment of all the things we're trying to do in what I call phase two, which is in building that internal infrastructure. This backend will also provide the opportunity for new applicants to select counsel to apply to join the community. So we'll be providing the web link that all of you members can use to forward to people in your network who you think would be good candidates for Select Counsel membership. So we're going to make that very easy for all of you. So let me just step through some of the menu items that we have here on the new back end. So this is simply the home page. It's really what you see is what we get, what you get, as we used to say when I was an engineer. Basically, you'll see as we onboard each of you into this community, you'll see your profile picture appear here. People can click on you, learn more about you, connect with you, friend you. And then over here is simply a list of links we think you'll be using on a regular basis. So you can update your profile, invite new members to join Select Counsel, post an update or an article on whatever you think is of interest, just like you might do on Facebook or LinkedIn. You can create your own events and you can start your own working groups if you have an idea for a group you'd like to put together within the Select Counsel community. Directory is what it sounds like. You can look at each of the people that are currently put on the system. Like I know Dag is on the phone now. If I click on his link, I can see what he's been up to. Not much since the site is brand new. He's only been on it for a couple of days. But I can, if I wanted to message Dag, I could do that. Just like you guys can, many of you have a website option on your firm website to do this. I can also use online chat. I can also edit. You can change your profile. If you go to your own profile, you can change the profile picture and you can edit all the information on your profile. So that's sort of what it sounds like. The referral board, you guys already are familiar with this from the current back end of the website. And this will work really just like any other, you guys have all posted things on LinkedIn or Facebook. It's the same type of process. You simply click on this. You can click any title about what the opportunity is, all the details you want. Should you like, you could add links, you could add images, you could add videos, you can upload files if that's applicable, and you can also collect the category. We can expand these categories. One running theme will be all of this is customizable. So we've licensed a very flexible platform that we can completely change to meet the needs of members going forward. So one thing we've hopefully made clear is we really do welcome constant feedback from all of you. In fact, I think on the home page, if I didn't add it yet, I'm going to add a link that you can, anytime you could schedule a meeting with me, I will add that link. So there'll be a link right here on the home page where you can schedule a meeting with me, Chris, the COO of Select Counsel, about operational issues within the community and what you'd like to see. So we want to have that constant feedback. So events, right now we just have two. We have this town hall. We also are welcoming this Thursday at noon Eastern time, 9 Pacific time. We thought we would invite you to one of our monthly events that we have it in the house. We have an online meeting with GCs and other people from the in-house community who care about cybersecurity issues. I know many of you are probably encountering those issues either in your personal life or your professional life or both. And so it'll show you the type of programming we have it in the house and that we are going to gradually fold Select Counsel members into. So any of you that can make it, you can just simply, you can go to selectcounsel.ning.com, click on events, and you can RSVP to this. So if I open up this event, it's very easy to RSVP. You just click on the link, click here, it'll auto-generate an email, and you can sign up for this event on Thursday. I used to be in-house at Verizon while Randy was GC there, so he's a very revered figure in the general counsel world, and I think you'll be interested in his views on cybersecurity issues. But probably maybe importantly for you all is you can also create your own events once we onboard you onto this new site, which we will be doing in the next few weeks. You can add your own events. So it's pretty easy. You can add, brown bag lunch, whatever you want to call your event. You could put a physical location here. It could be your office. It could be a nightclub or wherever you want to get together, bar association room, whatever you have access to. It could also be an online location. I'm a big fan of the Zoom video platform. I think it's a much of an improvement over Skype and other entrants in that space. Zoom did IPO back in April or May, and so they have a lot of resources and they're really expanding their services. So encourage you to take a look at Zoom as a platform for virtual meetings. I find it very useful. You can add images of your firm or whatever you want to put there, your own profile picture if you'd like. And you can create your own events just like you might on something like Eventbrite. And then as I indicated, we can work with you to promote those events to a fairly large community. So, reach out to us. Encourage, you can reach me or Julie. You can always reach me at chris@selectcounsel.law. You can always reach Julie at Julie, Julie at selectcounsel.law. So we're happy to work with you. You can also create your own working groups. We just created a few initial groups that we thought might be of interest. So we've gone ahead and created 12 groups here that we hope people will join and get involved with. I've spent a lot of time in the house developing a program of either monthly or weekly meetups, and I think it does help to have a regularly scheduled event for such groups. I also think it's really important to focus on practical issues, not theoretical issues. So for instance, at In the House, they've said, we'd really like to have a controlling legal spending working group. That's something we really care about, and we'd like to have a monthly get together where we talk about that. And we're open to having outside counsel talk about that with us because we want to engage with outside counsel about what are you guys doing to make spending more affordable for us or to make it more controllable for us. So that's an example of what I see as a potential cross-functional working group with both in the House members and Select Counsel members. But again, we encourage your ideas, your suggestions. This is an extremely flexible platform and we can work with you to add new groups. Really, whatever you guys want, we can work towards.
Chris, for now,
Absolutely.
are these subject matter portals places where we can store helpful data, information, forms for our membership?
Yes, so let me go back here. So they're a combination right now. We've got a couple of geographical groups. There's a pretty large Select Counsel group in New York City and San Francisco. We thought that those groups might want to get together, for example, for brown bag networking lunches or breakfasts on a regular basis. We can work on finding places to host or individual members could host those. So we do think there's that sort of casual get together within cities could be extremely valuable. We'll be planning some of those ourselves, but we also don't want to stop members from creating their own get-togethers. It's pretty easy these days, you can even you can even get to group together at Starbucks, right? We live in a more informal age, and I think we need to start taking advantage of these opportunities. But there also are, there's a life sciences group that we've put together at the request of a Select Counsel member. So we're looking to populate that group with attorneys who have an interest in that particular subject area. We also have interest from in the House to participate in that. So that's another potential cross-functional group. And then there's also things that I would say fit neither within practice niches but within geographies, but are focused on sort of practical things, controlling spending I already mentioned. Here's a group for those with startup clients and the special needs that startup clients have. We create a group specifically for client development to hash out what issues are we facing around client development. How can we build a better referral network within the Select Counsel membership community? There's a law firm management group so that people that are face those types of challenges can share their learning. So we really want to create a platform for learning. And again, it's very easy to upload content. We hope that eventually we'll start to do more sharing of forums with each other and best practices so we can all become stronger substantive lawyers and also be better at developing business. Hopefully, many of us want more clients. Even those of us with plenty of clients usually wouldn't mind more or finding better clients or whatever it is, whatever our business development goals are. Finally, there is a resources tab, which is just a bit of a catch-all right now. We wanted to create sort of a default category for, I guess, to experiment with various things that people might want to share. For example, articles and updates. At this tab, you could, post anything. If you write an article and for a publication or on LinkedIn or on your website or on your blog, feel free to also post it here where other members can see it. And the same thing with jobs. If you have jobs available at your law firm, post them here. Other members will see those jobs that are available. They might know someone who fits. And we'll also periodically publish those to our very large email database. So we'll also hopefully help you find great applicants for jobs. There are in-house counsel, by the way, who are in transition and need a job. I always think it's smart to look at them. They often bring very valuable connections to the table, as well as deep experience and maybe most importantly of all, a client perspective that can help you appeal to clients. Some of our members have expressed a willingness to work with firms on a consulting basis to help them fine-tune their pitches and make them more receptive to GCs and other in-house lawyers. We're also thinking about building a forms database where you all can share valuable forms in various areas, and that's something some members have expressed interest in. And finally, there is a live chat feature. So as we move more people to the site, you can have a live chat. A good example of that is during an online meeting, you can also have a side chat at the same time right on the platform.
Chris, just let me add something on the job posting
Absolutely.
issue. The other thing that may be of value to our members is to the extent that you have clients who are looking to fill in-house positions.
Yep.
And looking for referrals from you, we can be a really good resource. But the second thing that I wanted to add is that, this is designed to be interactive, which is good and smart and helps us all grow on all of these levels. That said, you are the subscribers, and these buckets will be populated over time, whether or not, there's interactive response. But we think the best results will be with us working together. So, for example, in terms of the bucket that had to do with law firm management, some of the billing constructs and the value propositions and the thinking about how to deliver legal services. There's some articles there that I find of interest that we will put into that bucket, but there are places where you guys practice and areas of practice. So, biotech, stem cell stuff that would lend themselves to larger, that where forms and constructs are used that would lend themselves perhaps to larger application with a tweak or two. We're really interested in expanding our knowledge and our ability to grow our practices and our profitability by leveraging each other's knowledge. Thanks, Chris.
Yes. Absolutely. And that reminds me of something else that we've touched on, but we really want to emphasize. So what we really want to do in many ways is maximize the deal flow, two types of deal flow between you all. So every time there's an internal referral within our network, that's valuable. And we'd like peer-to-peer. We'd like to capture those and share those stories of successful referrals with each other so that we recognize and appreciate that type of effort. And it builds to use a wonky term, it builds social capital within the community. It makes us all stronger. But we also want to focus on referrals from the company, inbound referrals to the company to be distributed among the membership. And that
Right.
third phase I mentioned, which we are near the beginning of, we really want to build that brand credibility. So we have a lot more inbound referrals coming in that can be distributed appropriately to the member.
That's company to members.
Exactly. So peer to peer and company to members. We want to maximize the deal flow in both areas. And we think the steps we're taking are all directed towards those overarching goals. And again, we welcome feedback from all of you. Julie and I are trying to exemplify those qualities and those goals by trying to work with you all to meet people that can be helpful to your practice. You know, we want this platform to make it far easier for you to connect with each other and set up your own separate conversations. So and again, I think it bears repeating, we certainly don't want to stop self-help efforts on your own part to get together with each other and to help each other individually. So by all means, use the old-fashioned means of picking up the phone or sending an email, but also try to think of the new back end of the website as sort of a repository of knowledge and relationships going forward. So also get on the platform, friend each other, send messages to each other, post on the referral board, post on the jobs board. You can post opportunities that your clients tell you about. As Julie mentioned, it doesn't have to be your own job opportunity. There might be a client looking for somebody. Feel free to post that as well. So that's a brief introduction to the back end of the website. We will be porting you gradually over one by one. And so you'll each get an email indicating that your membership on the new back end has been activated. And so look for that in the coming couple of weeks.
I think it's a nice time to talk about, since you said bit by bit, we're going to port people over to talk about the labor intensivity, involved in this.
Yes.
I want to tell you that we're hard at work, but we're trying to build a business too, and we understand that this is an investment, and to that end, we think we are personnel light, and so there are certain realities about how we have to move things along, and I'm going to let you introduce the concept of what we talked about.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, to be very blunt about it, I'm interviewing to find someone who would take the role I'm currently occupying, which is a COO role. And so we've got a couple of candidates that are very deep business experience in this space of online services and legal technology. So, and then I would take a different role, which would be to act as the sort of the communications manager for the community and foster those relationships among the members and between members and clients. So, and we have a couple of
legal tech,
yeah,
the legal tech professional too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we have a legal tech professional who we're bringing on board to serve as our CTO. And that person is steeped in legal technology background and will help us build the technical infrastructure of the community. So we have invested a lot of time, effort, and money into building new infrastructure and into expanding the C-suite at our company. And you should be already seeing some of those results and much more results as we head into 2020. So there's more to come, but in the short term,
In the midterm too, we're going to have
yeah.
our first community events, our first live events at the end of January, one in New York and one in the Bay Area.
Yep.
I think it's going to be the Bay Area. We've taken a look at where our membership resides in order to figure out where our growth should occur. We've also taken a look at that data we talked about. But so the first couple of events that we're going to have are going to accommodate existing members, but don't, like Atlanta, Texas, I hope, don't, and certainly places where Seattle and Wisconsin, where there's legal, the need for legal services is growing exponentially. Don't take that as anything more than, right now, and that for budgetary reasons and reasons of, accommodating our existing members and letting people know that they're valued, we're going to get there. And hopefully we can do as many as 4 events a year. That's our plan. And we'll just, we'll keep going with the plan, but look forward to seeing everybody, those 2 places in January.
Yep, exactly. So we'd like to open it up for questions too. If folks have not figured out how to unmute themselves, I can unmute all in a minute, but I want to first give people an opportunity to unmute themselves and ask any questions. Let me also check the chat window. So I see a couple comments posted. Let's see, will the old CLE webinars be available on the website or migrated to the new portal? Yeah, so we're in discussions with Andrew about working to provide some type of preferred access to those webinars, and we'll have to, that's something we're going to have to figure out in consultation with Andrew. So I apologize, I don't have a full answer to that, but there's no reason why we wouldn't make those available.
Okay, it is 12:51. We're actually sort of on time. And people are, anything from anybody? Okay.
I'll risk unmuting all here really quick because some people are on the phone and some people might not have figured out the unmute button. So I'm unmuting all. So anybody out there have a question they'd like to ask before we wrap up? All right, not a lot of questions. That's okay.
I'm getting a couple of offline questions, and
okay.
I'm happy to, and I'm answering them. I'm happy to. I'm
absolutely I see a couple too. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm going to remute because there's some noise. But again, unmute yourself. Don't be shy if you want to speak up. Julie, do you want me to address some of the ones that came in via the chat window?
Yeah, why don't you?
Okay. So Peter says, have we all been added as members? So not yet. We need to move over. So the billing is also going to move over to the new site. So we're trying to be obviously very careful with the credit card information. And that's one of the reasons we're moving them over one by one carefully. So rather than doing a group migration, we want to make sure that we're extremely careful with that financial information. So we'll be actually moving over people on a one-by-one basis. I mean, it'll be, we can do a few dozen a day, but it is going to be a gradual process over the next week or two. So you'll be getting an email from us saying you've been activated on the new back end and we're available to give training. So, and by the way, I'm happy to spend my time helping each of you individually learn how to get the most out of the new website, as well as to get to know each of you. And I think Julie and we want you to get to know each other, but we also want you to get to
know
us.
Right now we're at a manageable number. It's possible to know everybody, and the best way for us to socialize, and we've actually been getting some media inquiries which are interesting. We're not going to talk about them because we're going to wait for things to develop, and it's been we've been threading a needle. We want to be formed enough and concrete enough to go out to the world with something that's not easily replicable in it. We want to position our members with true advantage, and we think that a certain degree of achievement along those different, the technology and all those other axes is desirable before we go out. On the other hand, people are calling. So, and we want to, we're trying to figure that out. And we think that raises our profile, and that always helps. And, that brings light and heat and attention. But for now, while that's happening, I think that you'll probably see about each of us is that what we share is an ability to generate opportunity and attention for our members. We're good at that, and respectively. And so to the extent we get to know you and we're out in the world and something pops up, that you'll get it. will find you.
Absolutely. And, because of our, because of the broad reach of our membership, many of you aren't geographically in the same location as Julie or I are in. So we do a lot of outreach using this type of video conferencing, and not just for groups, but for one-on-one. And we're in a very interesting inflection point in technology where I think almost everyone under the age of 40 is extremely comfortable with using platforms like this to communicate. And I think we all need to get more comfortable with this type of communication because it's very efficient. You all can meet each other literally by clicking on a link. And, we love in-person networking and connecting with people in the real world. It's absolutely essential to success. But one great thing about this type of platform is it's immediate. You don't need to waste any time. You could get off this call, you could reach out
Right.
to a fellow member, and you could be on a video call with them within minutes. And
I don't want to be notorious, but Chris and
so,
I represent sort of opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of, functional competence. And I may be the remedial side of the equation. But that said, I'm actually investing when I'm looking at stuff for our members, these technology tools for my practice and for our membership, and trying to, navigate where I think real time, time savings and output, increase can occur and to help us build. I'm investing in taking the trainings and stuff because even though I'm loath to spend 2 hours doing it, I find that my productivity is actually increasing in my practice as I try things out, and and it's worth it.
yep.
And I'm not under 40. There's that.
Yeah, I think Julie's really learned a ton, and I'm a former engineer. She doesn't have that benefit, but this technology does come a little easier to me. But really basic things, I'm happy to help you guys with. I mean, like as you might have noticed, that's actually not my view out my window as much as I wished it was. So that I do have a green screen set up in my office. And it is, literally you all can do this very easily, cost you a couple $100 and you'll be set up with green screen, and it's great for interviews. If you're interviewed by a local TV affiliate or something, it will give you a lot of credibility to, or even potential clients give you credibility to be tech savvy. So that's really one of the things they're looking for. All right, so we're right at the top of the hour now. We're going to wrap up. We appreciate all your time. Don't forget to reach out to us. Chris at selectcounsel.law, Julie at selectcounsel.law. And we're
And for now, if you guys have members, colleagues who fit our membership criteria in the areas of biotech and
yes,
cybersecurity and something that's going to start growing compliance,
yep.
please send them our way. Those are subject areas that we're sort of universally growing because our membership is we have a dearth of representation in our membership.
Yep.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your time, everybody, and
Yes.
thank you very much for your subscriptions.
Thank you so much, and we'll see you guys soon.